In this video, we're going to graph a quadratic function. Remember, as you go through, you can always pause or rewind as you need to and move at your own pace to make sure you understand what we're talking about in the video. To graph a quadratic function, we got to make sure it's in standard form. So we have y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. All right, that's our standard form of a quadratic function. Once we have it in standard form, we can find three important pieces, that are going to help us graph this function. Right, our y-intercept is when we plug in 0 for x, right? And if we plug in 0 for x in standard form, anything times 0 is 0. So our ax squared goes away, our bx squared goes away, and we're left with our c value. So our y-intercept is just 0, comma c, whatever that c value is. Right? We can also find the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is a vertical line that cuts our parabola in half. So in our graph here, it's a red line. Right? It cuts it in half. All right? We find it by x equals negative b over 2a. So we plug in whatever our b value is, divided by 2 times whatever our a value is when it's in standard form. On our axis of symmetry is the vertex. Okay, the vertex is the highest or the lowest point of our parabola. Right? It lies on the axis of symmetry. And when we find the axis of symmetry, we're finding a vertical line, so we're finding an x value, and that's the x value of our vertex. To find the y value of our vertex, you plug in the x value. So we plug in negative b over 2a. All right, so another way of writing our vertex is saying that the x value is going to be negative b over 2a. Right, this is our ordered pair, comma, and we talked about function notation, so we're going to plug in negative b over 2a. So our vertex is negative b over 2a, comma, f of negative b over 2a, where all we're doing is plugging in whatever x value we found. Alright, for our first example, we're going to find the axis of symmetry, the vertex, and the y-intercept of f of x equals 2 minus 4x plus x squared. Then we're going to graph the function. Alright, so first we got to look at this. This is in standard form, we just need to reorder them. Alright, we'll put our x squared first, minus 4x, plus 2. So our a is 1, our b is negative 4, and our c is 2. So to start off with, we'll find our axis of symmetry, or AOS. Alright, so our AOS, our formula is x equals negative b over 2a. So then we plug in our negative b over 2a. So x equals negative b will be negative 4 over 2, and our a is 1. And that simplifies to a positive 4 over 2, or just 2. So our axis of symmetry is x equals 2. Remember, you write your axis of symmetry as an equation because it is a vertical line. Right? Then we want to find the vertex. So we know that the x value of our vertex is going to be 2. So to find the y value, we plug it in. So we have 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 2. 2 squared is 4. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. We bring down our plus 2. 4 minus 8 is negative 4, plus 2 is negative 2. So our vertex is 2, negative 2. Alright. Then we want to find the y-intercept. Well, once it's in standard form, our y-intercept is just our c value. Our c value, we said, is 2. So our y-intercept is just 0, comma 2. Now we're going to use each of these, our y-intercept, our axis of symmetry, and our vertex, to graph. Alright, so now we're on a new slide, so I'm just going to rewrite what we already found. We said our axis of symmetry was x equals 2. Our vertex was 2, negative 2. And our intercept was 0, 2. A lot of 2's in this one. Alright, so to graph it, all we're going to do is first do our axis of symmetry. So we're going to x equals 2. We're going to draw a dotted line straight down, vertical line. That's our axis of symmetry. Then we're going to plot our vertex on this line. So our vertex is at 2, negative 2. So we'll put a point here. Right? Then we're going to graph our intercept at 0, 2. So come up, put a point. Now, in order to graph a parabola, we need at least 3 points. So right now, we're given 2, but we know that this axis of symmetry cuts our parabola in half, so we can reflect our y-intercept. All we have to do to reflect is just count. So we know that this y-intercept is 2 to the left, so we'll count 2, and then 2 more. Put a point. Oops, what happened to it? And then we're just going to connect. Try to connect. And there's our parabola. Alright, we also have a maximum and our minimum. Alright, that's referring to our vertex. Right, our axis of symmetry is referring to an x value, and generally when we talk about a max or a min, we're referring to the y value. We want to know how high or how low. Alright, so if we think about it, we have standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c. Alright, we look at the a value. Alright, our graph opens up and has a minimum if a is greater than 0. It opens down and has a maximum if a is less than 0. So if we have a positive a that's greater than 0, it's going to open up and we're going to have a minimum because our vertex is going to be at the bottom. Alright, if we have a negative a value, it's going to open down because our vertex is going to be the highest point. It's going to have a maximum. Alright, our second example, does the function f of x equals negative x squared plus 2x plus 3 have a maximum or a minimum value? Then we want to graph the function. Well, looking at our equation here, our a is negative 1, b is 2, c is 3. Just looking at our a value, negative 1 is less than 0, so we know that this is going to have a maximum. Right off the bat, that's all we have to do to see if it has a maximum or a minimum. Right? Then to graph it, we're going to find those 3 important pieces. We got to find our axis of symmetry, our vertex, and our y-intercept. Well, our y-intercept is usually pretty easy because we just look at the c value. So our y-intercept is 0, 3. Right, our axis of symmetry, we're going to plug into our formula, x equals negative b over 2a. Right, so we have x equals negative 2 over 2 times negative 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, so negative 2 over negative 2 is just a positive 1. So x equals 1. Then to find our vertex, we're just going to plug that in. We know that's our x value, so to find the y value, plug it in. Keep this negative out front. Plug in our 1 squared plus 2 times 1 plus 3. 1 squared is 1. We keep the negative. 2 times 1 is 2. And 3. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. Plus 3 is 4. So our vertex is at 1, 4. Now we're just going to graph it. So I'm going to rewrite what we found. So we've got our intercept, 0, 3. Our axis of symmetry, x equals 1. And our vertex at 1, 4. So we're going to go to x equals 1, draw our vertical line. There's our axis of symmetry. Right? We've got our vertex at 1, 4. Put a point. And we've got our intercept at 0, 3. Right? We reflect our intercept over, so it's 1 apart, 1 on this side. There's our reflection. We know it's opening down anyways, but we'll connect our points and get a rough-looking parabola. That is all you have to do.